Ever stared at your bank account and thought, I could really use a haunted doll or perhaps a single historically significant lion whisker? Probably not. But for some Americans, the line between sensible purchase and what on earth were they thinking is hilariously thin. We're about to explore a gallery of expenditures so peculiar they'll make your impulse buys look like acts of profound financial wisdom. 1. When Star Trek fandom goes beyond collectible action figures and into home renovation, you get a couple who boldly went where few homeowners have gone before. They spent a cool $50,000 to transform their ordinary house into a replica of the Starship Enterprise. We're talking fully decked-out control panels that probably just control the thermostat, mood-enhancing LED lighting perfect for red alerts or romantic dinners in the mess hall, the whole 9 yards. One can only imagine the expressions on the faces of visiting in-laws or the pizza delivery guy. Greetings, Earthling. Your pepperoni is cleared for docking bay 3, which is the kitchen. 2. Some people collect stamps, others collect art. And then there are those who collect incredibly old royal wedding cake. Decades after Prince Charles and Princess Diana tied the knot, a remarkably well-preserved, or perhaps just mummified, slice of their wedding cake was auctioned off for a staggering $75,000. This wasn't just vintage, it was practically archaeological, being over 40 years old at the time of sale. You have to hope the buyer's intentions were purely display-based. Attempting to consume that would be less a culinary experience and more a brave scientific experiment, possibly involving a hazmat suit. 3. Nicolas Cage, an actor known for his, let's call them eclectic choices, once decided to buy the infamous LaLaurie Mansion in New Orleans. This wasn't just any old fixer-upper, it's reputed to be one of the most haunted houses in America. His reasoning? He thought living amongst legions of tormented spirits would provide inspiration for writing horror stories. Instead of penning the next great American horror novel, he lost the property to foreclosure. So, did the spectral residence prove too distracting? Or was it his accountant, armed with spreadsheets far scarier than any phantom, who ultimately exorcised him from the premises? The mystery endures. 4. Most dog owners spoil their pets with treats or a comfy bed. One woman, however, decided her chihuahua deserved to rule, not just her heart, but from an actual throne. She commissioned a custom-made velvet-upholstered throne, complete with opulent gold trim, for her tiny canine companion, dropping a cool $5,000 in the process. More than many people spend on their own living room furniture. And the dog's reaction to this regal seating arrangement? It reportedly preferred lounging on the floor. Some creatures just can't appreciate the finer things, even when they're literally handed to them on a gilded platter, or throne. 5. Florida, a state renowned for sunshine, oranges, and apparently gullible, aspiring moon owners. One man in the Sunshine State once shelled out $50,000 for what he fervently believed to be a genuine piece of the moon. Imagine the bragging rights. Unfortunately, upon closer inspection, perhaps by someone who'd actually seen a rock before, his lunar treasure turned out to be a rather terrestrial chunk of asphalt. It's a costly reminder that if someone offers to sell you a piece of celestial real estate, particularly from the back of a pickup truck, it's probably wise to ask for a certificate of authenticity, or at least a second opinion from NASA. 6. In the pantheon of things people paid way too much for on eBay, a 10-year-old grilled cheese sandwich holds a special place of honor, or perhaps bewilderment. Someone actually paid $28,000 for this culinary antique because they believed the burn pattern on its surface bore an uncanny resemblance to the Virgin Mary. The seller, adding another layer to this sacred saga, had already taken a bite out of it before noticing its alleged divine likeness. But wait, there's more. The seller also claimed the sandwich had miraculously never molded over the decade. Is it a sign from above, or just a terrifying testament to the preservatives in processed cheese? You decide. 7. Coping with the loss of a beloved pet is never easy. For one grieving woman, the solution was unconventional, to say the least. Instead of a traditional burial or cremation, she spent $3,000 to have her deceased cat taxidermied into a fully functional handbag. Yes, a purse. Now, her furry companion accompanies her everywhere, not purring in her lap, but slung over her shoulder, presumably holding her keys and lipstick. It certainly gives new meaning to the term cat carrier and ensures her pet remains a part of her ensemble, quite literally, forever. Fashion or phytocide. 8. For those individuals for whom mere tap water is an affront to their refined palate, there exists the professional water sommelier. One discerning gentleman spent a reported $40,000 to retain the services of such an expert, tasking them with curating the ultimate bottled water collection. The result? Over 300 bottles sourced from the farthest reaches of the globe, each boasting a unique taste profile, and, one assumes, an equally unique price tag. Because when you've conquered all other forms of conspicuous consumption, meticulously analyzing the mouthfeel of H2O is clearly the next frontier. 9. Nostalgia is a powerful emotion, capable of making us do strange things. For one man, it manifested in the purchase of an old, rusted parking meter for $10,000. This wasn't just any parking meter. It was one removed from his favorite childhood street, a silent sentinel of bygone days. Why did he feel compelled to own this piece of municipal hardware? When asked, even he wasn't entirely sure. Perhaps it was a monument to youthful jaywalking, or maybe he just really missed the satisfying clink of coins. Some memories, it seems, come with a hefty price tag and require a sturdy display stand. 10. The allure of owning a piece of another planet is strong. One space enthusiast thought he'd struck cosmic gold when he purchased what was advertised as Mars dust for $7,500. Imagine actual soil from the red planet. Unfortunately, reality, as it often does, came crashing down. Experts soon confirmed that his extraterrestrial treasure was, in fact, just regular sand, most likely sourced from the decidedly terrestrial Arizona desert. Someone's dreams of Martian exploration got grounded rather abruptly, proving that not all that glitters red is from Mars. 11. Just when you thought the world had reached its quota of unsettling collectibles with haunted dolls and celebrity-chewed food, someone decided to raise the bar, or rather, the follicle count. A full suit, meticulously crafted entirely from human hair, was purchased for thousands of dollars. The craftsmanship, while undoubtedly unique, pales in comparison to the lingering, unanswerable question. Whose hair was it? Was it a single, very hirsute donor, or a patchwork of contributions from strangers? Either way, it's a fashion statement that whispers, "I'm wearing someone else's DNA." 12. For the coffee aficionado who truly has everything, including an apparent disdain for actually drinking their prized beans, there's the $2,500 one-of-a-kind coffee bean. Its claim to fame? It possessed a naturally occurring heart shape. One imagines the intense scrutiny involved in sifting through sacks of beans to find this singular, romantically inclined specimen. Let's sincerely hope the buyer didn't absent-mindedly toss it into the grinder for a morning espresso, reducing their $2,500 investment into a very expensive and possibly slightly sentimental cup of joe. 13. The memorabilia market is a strange beast. Take, for instance, a single page from a script of the beloved TV show, The Office. Nothing too unusual there, until you learn it fetched $7,000 at auction. The secret to its high value? Not a rare signature, but actual coffee stains, remnants from the set, which apparently only enhanced its appeal. So, someone paid a small fortune for what is, essentially, a piece of office supplies artfully, or accidentally, defaced by caffeine. It's a testament to fandom, or perhaps a cautionary tale about leaving your beverages unattended near valuable paper. 14. Forget finding religious iconography in your toast. The real money is in celebrity doppelgangers in your breakfast cereal. Someone once unearthed a cornflake that they claimed bore an uncanny resemblance to the king of pop, Michael Jackson. Instead of just adding milk, they listed it online, and it sold for a smooth $300. This opens up a whole new world of breakfast-based treasure hunting. Somewhere out there, a bowl of Wheaties might contain a tiny, crunchy likeness of Beyoncé, just waiting to be discovered and monetized. Start sifting, people. 15. When a marriage crumbles, most people opt for therapy, or perhaps a dramatic haircut. One scorned woman, however, chose a more public and profitable path: eBay. She listed her wedding dress, but this wasn't your standard worn once like new ad. Oh no. She penned an absolutely savage, no-holds-barred description detailing how the dress had, in fact, survived longer than the marriage. Bidders, ever hungry for drama, ate it up, and the dress sold for thousands. It's a masterclass in turning heartbreak into cold, hard cash, and possibly a new career in brutalist copywriting. 16. Some brides seek something borrowed, something blue. Others apparently seek something haunted, something that whispers eerie warnings. A woman paid $8,000 for a wedding veil purported to be haunted. The backstory involved a bride who vanished on her wedding night, leaving only the veil and chilling tales of ghostly whispers. The new owner, perhaps after one too many spectral fashion critiques, reportedly wore it once, and then promptly locked it away in a closet. $8,000 for a decorative ghost containment unit. Smart. 17. The art world often blurs the line between genius and "are you serious?" An artist decisively pole vaulted over that line by selling an empty picture frame, boldly labeled "invisible painting," for a cool $10,000. The buyer was informed, presumably with a very straight face, that the artwork was only visible to those who truly understand art. One wonders if the buyer now stands before it, nodding sagely, pretending to see brushstrokes of profound nothingness, or if they just have a very expensive, very empty frame hanging on their wall as a testament to either their refined taste or extreme gullibility. 18. Parking in Manhattan is notoriously difficult and expensive, but this takes it to a whole new level. Someone actually spent $300,000, yes, $300,000, to purchase a single parking space. For that kind of money, you could buy a decent house in many other parts of the country, possibly with a multi-car garage. But no, this individual opted for a patch of concrete in the Big Apple, presumably so their very expensive car could have a very expensive place to sit. It's the ultimate urban status symbol, or perhaps just a cry for help. 19. Beauty, as they say, is in the eye of the beholder. For one man, that beauty was found in a rock that bore an uncanny resemblance to a potato. He didn't just find it amusing. He spent $2,500 to acquire this geological spud and now proudly displays it on his mantle. He calls it the most perfect naturally occurring potato-shaped stone in existence. One can only imagine the dinner party conversations. "Oh, this old thing? Just my $250,000 petrified potato. Isn't nature grand?" 20. We all want our beloved pets to age gracefully. But for one woman, her dog's natural sagging jowls were apparently a bridge too far. She paid $6,000 to a plastic surgeon to give her canine companion a facelift, or as she affectionately termed it, a bark lift. The dog, blissfully unaware of its cosmetic enhancements or the hole in its owner's wallet, presumably continued its life of naps, walks, and enthusiastic mud rolling, its newly tightened face making absolutely no difference to its overall happiness. Some battles against aging are best left unfought, especially when the patient has no say in the matter. 21. What's more romantic or ego-boosting than naming a star after yourself or a loved one? One man thought so, shelling out $100,000 for this celestial honor, imagining his name etched in the cosmic record for eternity. The unfortunate reality? The International Astronomical Union, the only body with the official authority to name celestial objects, doesn't recognize these purchased names. So, while he might have a fancy certificate, astronomically speaking, his star remains stubbornly anonymous. He basically paid a fortune for a very expensive, unofficial nickname for a distant ball of gas. 22. Forget stuffy reception halls. One couple decided their I-dos needed a more wild ambiance. They spent $35,000 to rent an entire zoo for their wedding day. Their first dance as a married couple reportedly performed right next to the giraffe enclosure, possibly with a few long-necked wedding crashers curiously observing. As for the guests, it's said they were often more preoccupied with feeding the animals and marveling at the meerkats than toasting the happy couple. At least the wedding photos were unique. 23. While many children and adults cherish cute, cuddly teddy bears, A certain subset of collectors actively seeks out playthings with a more active nightlife. One such buyer spent $3,000 on a doll that, according to the seller, had a habit of changing positions at night all by itself. Now, I'm no paranormal investigator, but if my doll started spontaneously rearranging itself, I'd be paying $3,000 to ensure it was launched into the sun, not inviting it into my home. Sweet dreams, new owner. You'll need them. 24. For the billionaire who has everything, including a deep-seated desire to fight crime in a cape, only one vehicle will do. One such magnate paid a cool $500,000 for a fully functional Batmobile replica. This wasn't just a pretty shell. It came complete with working gadgets and a flame-throwing exhaust, perfect for making a dramatic entrance or scaring away pigeons. The only tiny flaw in this vigilante dream machine? It wasn't street legal. So it was $500,000 for a very impressive, very loud garage ornament. 25. The sanctity of naming your own child is, for most, a cherished right. One couple, however, saw it as a unique fundraising opportunity. They auctioned off their unborn baby's naming rights on eBay. The winning bidder? An online casino, which paid $6,800 for the privilege. The child was thus named goldenpalace.com. Imagine the first day of kindergarten. Hello, my name is goldenpalace.com, but you can call me .com for short. It's a name that truly keeps on giving. A lifetime of explanations. 26. When you're an oil tycoon and the view from your mansion isn't quite up to snuff, you don't just plant a few taller trees. Oh no. One such magnate in California, displeased by an inconveniently placed mountain obstructing his sunset vista, decided the mountain had to go. He paid millions of dollars to have the entire landmass flattened. The project took months of heavy machinery and earth moving. Also, this gentleman could enjoy his evening cocktail without a pesky geological formation ruining the ambiance. Talk about terraforming on a personal scale. 27. Pampering pets has reached new heights, or rather, new depths of aquatic luxury. Someone actually parted with $40,000 to install a customized hot tub specifically for their horse. Yes, a jacuzzi for a steed. While most of us are weighing the pros and cons of a basic gym membership, at least one equine is enjoying therapeutic, warm water jets. One can only imagine the horse's expression of blissful, bubbly relaxation. Does it get aromatherapy and tiny cucumber slices for its eyes too? 28. The thrill of collecting can sometimes override expert advice, especially when you believe you found a hidden gem. A collector eagerly paid $15,000 for a VHS tape of The Lion King, citing a rare misprint on the cover as evidence of its ultra-valuable, limited edition status. This was despite numerous experts patiently explaining that the misprint was common and the tape itself was, in terms of monetary value, basically worthless. Some people see a priceless artifact. Others see a dusty old videotape. Hakuna Matata, I guess, for the seller. 29. We return to the ever-popular market of haunted dolls because apparently one isn't enough. This particular possessed plaything was sold for $3,000 after its previous owner claimed it whispered at night. The new buyer, presumably undeterred by nocturnal natterings, later reported that the doll had escalated its activities and started moving on its own. Whether it's genuine paranormal activity or a very active imagination fueled by a creepy doll, it's probably a good idea to invest in some strong coffee and a very secure display case. Or, a priest. 30. Owning a piece of history is one thing, but paying $15,000 for a single whisker from a lion that once graced a famous zoo? That's a whole different level of memorabilia. The buyer proclaimed it a piece of history, envisioning, perhaps, the majestic roar and kingly presence embodied in this solitary strand of keratin. To most other people, however, it probably just looked like a stray piece of cat fur, albeit a very, very expensive one. One wonders if it came with a tiny display case or if it's just carefully preserved between the pages of a zoology textbook. 31. Tired of pesky tourists ruining your pristine vacation vibes? If you're a millionaire, the solution is simple. Buy an entire island and then legally ban everyone else from setting foot on it. One wealthy businessman, thoroughly annoyed by crowded beaches and chattering vacationers, did just that, transforming a tropical paradise into his own personal, tourist-free sanctuary. The locals, understandably a bit miffed, now reportedly refer to it as the Forbidden Island. It's the ultimate power move in antisocial holidaying. 32. There's vintage, and then there's this. A collector paid a cool $2,000 for a vintage Coca-Cola bottle, still sealed. The unique selling point? It contained a perfectly preserved dead bug floating within the sugary depths. While the buyer hailed it as a piece of history, a fascinating snapshot of bottling practices of yesteryear, the rest of us are probably just seeing a very expensive, unopened soda with an unwelcome, crunchy surprise. Perhaps it adds a certain je ne sais quoi to the flavor profile, or perhaps not. 33. Is your refrigerator making strange groaning noises in the night? Do items inside seem to magically rearrange themselves? You might call a repairman. Or, if you're one particular buyer, you might shell out $12,000 for a haunted refrigerator that does exactly that. Either this appliance was genuinely possessed by a mischievous poltergeist with a penchant for dairy displacement, or it just had a seriously faulty compressor and a very loose crisper drawer. Now, here's a question for you all. Do you believe in cursed items? And what would you do if your fridge started playing Jenga with your leftovers? Let me know in the comments. 34. Luxury brands are known for pushing boundaries, but this one takes the shoebox. As part of a high-fashion, conceptual art stunt, a designer label sold an empty shoebox for an eye-watering $25,000. No shoes included, mind you, just the beautifully crafted cardboard container. They called it a statement on consumerism. And the truly baffling part? People actually bought it. It's either the ultimate meta-commentary on brand obsession or definitive proof that some people have far too much money and a desperate need to own things that scream, "I don't understand value." 35. Cats are notorious for their indifference to human efforts. One woman learned this the expensive way after spending $9,000 to build a custom, multi-tiered staircase specifically for her feline overlord. The goal was presumably to provide a regal ascent to higher perches. The cat's response to this bespoke piece of pet architecture? Utter disdain. It reportedly ignored the staircase completely, preferring, as cats invariably do, to simply leap onto the furniture with effortless and far cheaper grace. Some investments just don't yield the desired feline returns. 36. In the ever-evolving landscape of influencer marketing, we've reached a new atmospheric low, or perhaps high, depending on your perspective. A social media personality auctioned off a sealed jar, claiming it contained celebrity air captured from a VIP-only Hollywood event. A devoted fan, presumably eager to inhale the rarefied atmosphere of stardom, actually purchased this jar of, well, air for $500. They then proudly displayed their exclusive oxygen. One wonders if it smells faintly of desperation and expensive perfume. 37. Vanity license plates are a big deal in some places, a way to broadcast your personality or your profession, or just a terrible pun. But when a single-letter license plate, just the letter F, went up for auction in California, it wasn't just a statement. It was a multi-million-dollar declaration. The final price was utterly ridiculous, the kind of money that could buy, well, almost anything else. But the sheer audacity, the unadulterated power move of cruising down the Pacific Coast Highway with a solitary F adorning your vehicle? Some might argue that's priceless, or at least very, very expensive. 38. We've seen air-conditioned doghouses and custom thrones for chihuahuas, but teaching fish to play soccer? That's a new one. A wealthy pet lover, clearly believing his goldfish possessed untapped athletic potential, spent $50,000 to hire a professional animal trainer. The mission? To teach the fish how to push a tiny ball into a miniature goal. Reports indicate the fish showed moderate interest, which is probably fish speak for occasionally bumped into it. The real winner here, of course, was the trainer, who got paid handsomely for a truly unique gig. 39. The phenomenon of finding familiar shapes in food continues to astound and apparently to enrich. A collector parted with $200 for a single corn chip that they believed looked like a shark's fin. The seller, not missing a beat, proclaimed it the rarest chip ever found, a culinary anomaly of unprecedented significance. The buyer, equally enthusiastic, dubbed it a one-of-a-kind treasure. Meanwhile, somewhere in a snack food factory, a quality control machine probably just hiccuped. Da-dum, da-dum. 40. The allure of medieval royalty is undeniable. One man, convinced he was on the cusp of a major historical discovery, spent $8,000 to acquire a single tooth from a medieval skeleton. He believed it belonged to a long-lost king, a tangible link to a noble past. Alas, the romance was short-lived. Subsequent DNA testing suggested that the tooth was less "Your Majesty" and more "Hey you." It likely belonged to a random and decidedly unroyal peasant. An expensive dental letdown. 41. Nostalgia can be a powerful and apparently expensive drug. Someone spent $3,500 on an unopened bowl of cereal from the 1980s, proclaiming it a nostalgic time capsule. Imagine the vibrant colors, the cartoon characters on the box, the promise of a sugary breakfast from a bygone era. The seller, responsibly, warned that it was strictly not for eating. But who knows? The allure of reliving a childhood morning, even with the risk of consuming 3-decade-old puffed wheat, might have been too strong for the buyer to resist. 42. We've seen elaborate dog houses, but a dedicated Zen meditation room for a dog takes pet pampering to a new level of tranquility. One woman spent $5,000 to create this canine oasis, complete with soothing music, calming aromatherapy diffusers, and even a tiny trickling waterfall for ultimate relaxation. And the dog's response to this carefully curated sanctuary of serenity? It preferred sleeping on the floor, probably dreaming of chasing squirrels, entirely oblivious to the expensive efforts made in the name of its inner peace. 43. Sports memorabilia can fetch incredible prices, but $12,000 for a single shoelace? That's a new record in footwear-related fanaticism. This particular shoelace supposedly once belonged to an NBA player and was, according to the seller, from a historic game-winning match. Proof of this illustrious provenance? Apparently none was needed. The buyer eagerly framed the lace, reverently calling it a priceless piece of sports history. One hopes it at least came with a certificate of something. 44. In the quest for deeper understanding, or perhaps just a really good party trick, a man purchased a pair of psychic sunglasses for $200. These magical shades supposedly allowed the wearer to see people's true auras, revealing their innermost energies and vibes. Whether they actually unlocked a new level of perception or just had really dark lenses that made everyone look vaguely mysterious remains unknown. The seller, wisely, refused to offer refunds, leaving the buyer to ponder the true color of their own gullibility. 45. The Midas touch is one thing. The Beyoncé touch is apparently quite another. A used car, otherwise unremarkable, once saw its price skyrocket simply because someone claimed that Queen Bey herself had touched it while walking past. There was zero proof, no photographic evidence, not even a lingering fingerprint, just a claim. And yet it still sold for thousands of dollars more than its Blue Book value. Such is the power of celebrity proximity, even when it's entirely hypothetical. 46. We all want to understand our pets better. But hiring an animal psychic for your goldfish? That's dedication. A woman, convinced her pet fish harbored a mysterious aura and untold depths, paid $5,000 for a psychic reading. The psychic, after presumably gazing intently into the fishbowl, claimed the fish's past life was filled with adventure. The fish, meanwhile, just kept swimming, blissfully unaware of its swashbuckling former existence or its owner's significant expenditure on interspecies telepathy. 47. The pursuit of an idealized aesthetic can lead down some very expensive and surgically intensive paths. One fashion-obsessed man spent a staggering $50,000 in his quest to transform into a human Ken doll. Multiple plastic surgeries, including jaw restructuring, lip injections, and body sculpting, were all part of the plan. Yet, even after all that, he reportedly realized he still wasn't satisfied. His next goal? more surgeries, aiming to look like a perfectly photoshopped version of himself. It's a never-ending quest for an unattainable, plastic-coated perfection. 48. If looking like a plastic doll isn't your fantasy, how about becoming a real-life elf? One man, deeply obsessed with fantasy lore, spent $15,000 on multiple plastic surgeries to achieve just that. His transformation included ear reshaping, for that signature pointiness, and even eye color alteration. He was committed to the elven aesthetic. The only thing reportedly missing from his new life? A viable career path in Middle-earth, or perhaps just a seasonal gig at Santa's workshop. 49. When is a pizza more than just a pizza? When it costs $2,300. A restaurant once offered this culinary extravagance, topped with edible 24-karat gold, decadent truffles, and mounds of caviar. The customer who indulged in this gilded pie reportedly said it tasted good but not life-changing. That might just be the understatement of the millennium for a pizza that costs significantly more than most people's monthly rent. One hopes it at least came with a very fancy pizza cutter. And there we have it. Proof that with enough money, common sense often becomes an optional extra. Now for the real question. If you had truly obscene amounts of cash, what utterly useless, fantastically absurd thing would you buy just to confuse future historians? Don't be shy. Unleash your inner eccentric millionaire in the comments. If this cavalcade of questionable commerce tickled your fancy, obliterate that like button and subscribe for more dives into the delightfully daft.